Is it just me, or did we all start saying that we don't care what people think, like way before we actually stopped caring what people think? Because as someone who is like just now really, I think, starting to practically put into place what I think it means to not care what people think, I really have always cared what people think. Like even in the last 3 or 4 years that I've been saying, I don't care what people think. Yes, I freaking have. You're listening to The Sensible Sessions. I'm your host, Amber Wardell. Along with my guests who range from experts in their fields to people with incredible experiences and perspectives, our hope is to bring you stories designed to make you laugh, make you cry, or make you think, bringing a sensible approach to a world that's lost its mind. So stay tuned and let's start the show. Hi, I'm Dr. Amber Wardell. I'm an author, cognitive psychologist, and contributor to Psychology Today. I try to bring the magic to the science and the science to the magic, bringing psychology to spirituality, trying to show you two things that don't always seem to go together, but they actually really do. This is my mini podcast episode. I'm trying to do one of these per week. This one's going to be more casual always and much, much shorter. And today I'm just going to riff about something that like has really been on my mind. Because I feel like a few years ago, there was this big push where all of us, particularly women, but all of us were like, I just don't care what people think anymore. I don't care. I don't care. And we were all showing like the cutesy, really adorable things that we were doing, that we were claiming that were like, this was the signal that like, we don't care. I'm wearing my glasses out today. I didn't put my contacts in because I don't care what people think when we know we look cute as shit in our glasses, right? Like that this was kind of like our coming out party of like how we're showing the world that we don't care what people think. But like we really did still, right? Because now I'm 40 and now I'm looking at my life and I'm having to look at like, I'm not so sure that I've not been caring what people think. Because there's a difference between saying I don't care what people think as a protective sort of mantra that you say when someone has actually managed to hurt your feelings versus living in an energy and a headspace that is actually not caring what people think. We're human, right? So to some extent, we're all going to care what people think. I think that that's part of humanity is like we want to be connected to others. And in order to be connected with other people, we have to be like acceptable to some extent to other people. But, you know, there is that over identification with being likable and being received by others. And so like, I'm just going to list off really quickly some of the things that I'm having to work on that are making me realize that I do actually care what people think. One of them is the need to, explain my point of view to people, like over explain it. I just have this sense that if you don't care what people think truly, then when someone misunderstands you, then you just are kind of like, yeah, okay. I will argue with my children. Do I need to say more? Like my children will have a misunderstanding about something stupid, like of something stupid and about me. Like they will misunderstand something that I told them. So like it'll be something dumb. Let me think. Like the other day I said to them, maybe if it's nice this weekend, we will go to the pool. It was not nice that weekend. But my children had a different opinion of what nice, like what constitutes nice. And so I said to them, it's not nice this weekend, so we can't go to the pool. And rather than arguing with me about what nice is, which at least that would have been something, my children argued with me about like whether or not I have a correct definition of what nice is and whether or not I was actually being honest about what I meant by nice. Does that make sense? And so then I sat and I needed to convince my children that I wasn't dishonest with them about whatever I meant by nice. And that to me is a cue that like I still really care what people think because like I do treat my children like people, right? I don't do the whole because I said so thing to them. I do try to give them well thought out explanations of things, but this was coming from a place of like an ego wound that like my children had misunderstood me in some way and I was like grappling to make them understand. And I was like, I very much care what people think. I need this 7 and 9-year-old to not have a misunderstanding of my intentions about the pool. So that's number one. I'm still very much struggling with whether or not people understand me. Number two, I have a strong need to be right. And that's not the problem. The problem is that I need to be right and I need you to know it. I don't have the discipline to, I don't know how to go, you know what? Being right serves nobody right now. Doesn't serve me, doesn't serve you. Um, but I need it to be known that I am right now. And I realize I'm seeing how much I struggle with that. My husband and I have been arguing about something lately, a big deal thing. And it's just we're at a crossroad where we can't meet in the middle on this one. And it's at that point where basically anything that is said about this is harmful now. We're just having to call it a truce on it. And I've noticed myself in this spin cycle where I can't stop, where it's like, I need him to understand that I am right. And it's not any longer at a place where, oh, I need justice to be made. I need truth to ring free. This is like, I need you to know that I'm right because there's an ego thing happening here. And, and, and something about me is feeling invalidated by the fact that my truth, the truth is not being recognized. That's caring what people think. You know, another thing, I still will delete comments I don't like on social media. The hell? Like, how am I? I'm working on it. I'm getting better than I used to be because I used to go fight with those people. Now I just delete them. Sorry. Now I just delete them. But I'm just seeing as I practically try to approach this concept of not needing to be liked, I'm understanding now, like, how much of it over all the years have just been me saying the words. And now I'm having to actually put it into practice. And as I put it into practice, I realize how much saying the words wasn't really doing anything for me other than like putting up a wall, a defense, if you will. I was watching the Ellen DeGeneres special the other day, and I know people have lots of mixed opinions about Ellen, but I watched her show and I thought it was, she made such a interesting point at the beginning. She said something about how she dissolved all of her fillers in her face and she got rid of all of her Botox. She stopped getting Botox. And she said, oh yeah, I used to get Botox and fillers back when I didn't care about what anybody thought. It's like that. It's like there's a time in our lives where we really, really fool ourselves into thinking that we don't care what people think. And that is usually the time of our lives where we care the most what people think. And I'm learning that I think a lot of times these journeys that we go through in our lives, they often start that way. A lot of life really is fake it till you make it. And sometimes it begins with saying the thing and we say it over and over and over again until finally we've reached a place where we're like, damn, I've been saying this a lot and I don't really think it's doing much. And then we start doing it, you know, because saying it really didn't get us anywhere. So I got to thinking about so what would a person who is really, really walking the walk instead of talking the talk, what would they be like? What would they look like? Here's what I got. I did ask ChatGPT to help me because I'm not there yet either, right? So like some of these were my own thoughts and some of these were ChatGPT's thoughts. So here we go. Number one, they would make decisions based on internal alignment, not external approval. So they would be trusting in themselves, regardless of what anyone else thinks or says about it. They wouldn't even have to go ask for permission. They might ask for guidance because they're wise, but they wouldn't ask for permission. They would speak honestly and directly without tailoring their words to be more palatable. They might make sure because they're wise that they're not saying things that are crude or cruel or unkind, but they wouldn't at the forefront of their mind wouldn't be, am I making sure that I'm being palatable? They would embrace the things about them that are quirky or weird or even that are contradictions about themselves, understanding that they might be misunderstood for those things and that's okay. They would not feel the need to explain or over-explain themselves to other people, understanding that who they are is sovereign and is acceptable as it is. They would uphold boundaries without guilt, even if those boundaries made people uncomfortable. They would pursue what lights them up, even if those things were not impressive or socially acceptable. They would stay off the hamster wheel of image maintenance. So they wouldn't be going and like deleting negative comments because they were like worried that, oh my gosh, what if other people see this negative comment and then they think this thing about me? They'd just be like, who cares? Who cares? Someone had an opinion about me that is not true. You know, they would trust their intuition and their wisdom over groupthink. They would enjoy solitude because they know how to make themselves feel good. They feel at home and good and safe alone. They would have an attitude of curiosity about criticism when it's, in certain cases, when it's coming from a place of love and openness, not when it's coming from a place of cruelty, of course, because they would see that as information, as an opportunity for expansion, and they wouldn't internalize it unless it resonates as true. And they would let go of people who need them to be smaller, nicer, or more agreeable in order to be connected. So that's it for me today, keeping it nice and short. Tell me in the comments, do you feel like you maybe started saying you don't care what people think a little bit too soon? Like maybe you still kind of cared what people think. Maybe you still care what people think, but at least now you're kind of working on grounding it in something practical. Tell me your thoughts. Love ya, mean it, always. Mwah. And I'll see you in the next one.